you for being willing to be flexible with us as we had to move this date to Thursday because of scheduling conflicts. But we did feel like it was extremely important to still meet with all of you this week. And it's a good thing we did because we have received an extremely large amount of questions beforehand. And we do have a lot of information we need to share as well on our end. So I'm going to preface this by saying we will likely not get to all of the questions that were pre-submitted today, and we'll work to try to email some of them offline to get people some answers, because really we are going to primarily focus on the COVID vaccine, the questions that we've received there, as well as some of the things we got about the COVID questionnaire as well. Okay. So that is where we are. I hope everyone is ready to listen, and we will start by turning it over to Commissioner Turner, who is joining us today. Not only can he hear everything, but we believe he can talk this week also. So, Commissioner.
Yeah, thanks, Kara. I hope everyone can hear me this week. I appreciate your patience, and thank you for, as Kara mentioned, your flexibility in moving our open hours to today. I appreciate that. I'll be very brief. Hope everybody's had a good week. We've got a lot of really good questions that are important that have been submitted this week. Need to make sure that we get as much of those in as we can. I know Kara's got a lot in front of her as far as the questions that were submitted. So I'm going to pivot back to her, and appreciate everyone that has submitted the questions. If there are questions that you need to ask, obviously enter those into chat, and we'll certainly make sure that we keep an eye on that and try to get you some answers as best we can. But this week is heavily focused, obviously, on the vaccine and our population and the impact there. I want to be clear and very much appreciative for Dr. Bruce Davis and his team on the clinical side and what they've done to try to really help advocate. We worked very hard to make sure that our population was at the forefront of considerations and priority with the vaccines. And so I appreciate Dr. Davis and his team and what they've done. So they'll cover a lot of that in the meeting this morning and share information that they've got and provide some context and answers to those questions. So with that, I'll pivot back to Kara. Thanks, everyone.
Okay, a couple of announcements before we start in on the vaccine stuff. First of all, we have two presentations we want to make you aware of. The first is very much in line with what we're going to be discussing today. The Council on Developmental Disabilities is doing a presentation next Thursday, December 17th at 9 a.m. Central about COVID vaccination information. Dr. Bruce Davis, who we all know and love, as well as Dr. Fiskus with the Department of Health, who leads the vaccination efforts, is going to, they are going to be some of the guests that are featured in this WebEx. So we are very happy to join them and to discuss. So many of the questions that we got are about, can we do more WebExes, more information, help people who are very nervous about this vaccine to give more information. So these are some of the opportunities that we have, along with our partners at the Department of Health, who are really spearheading this effort to get this information out there to our population. So absolutely encourage you to participate. There will be more information about this, including an open line. So, but we just wanted to make you all aware while I have 417 people on the on a WebEx. The other thing is immediately after that at 10 a.m. Central, we are planning a Katie Beckett provider presentation to help folks understand better about the services that are provided in Katie Beckett Part B and the provision of those services. So what providers need to know about providing those services. So that is at 10 a.m. Central on Thursday, December 17th. So we hope you will join us as well. And then finally, I am going to turn it over to Deputy Commissioner Andy Kidd very quickly to provide an update on IDD integration and some of the IT solutions that we are looking at. Andy.
Thanks, Karen. Good morning, everybody. I'll keep it brief because I know we need to focus on the vaccines today, but we did meet with some provider representatives to discuss some of the initial requirements of an IT system for the integration. And one thing that we wanted to make clear that we heard of it being an open system is one of those major requirements, and meaning that it will interface with other systems that providers already have. So we'll do our best to making sure that that's available. Obviously, there's some exceptions there that we want to make sure that we work with the providers on. Any systems that you already have that we need to interface with whatever solution that we move forward with. But we did hear that loud and clear and want to make sure that providers have the ability to have that discussion with us. So thanks, Kara.
Okay, great. So the next thing we're going to start is talking about other things about the vaccine. Dr. Davis was having some trouble getting on, but I believe he may be on right now. Dr. Davis, are you there so that we can hear from you? Okay, we have no audio from Dr. Davis yet, so we will get to that. So what we will do is we will go first to the other questions that we had about the COVID questionnaire and Vicki Loveday, so that she can answer some of the issues that have come up. We did have 2 questions about that. I'll mention them very quickly. We have a staff person that is tested positive. Do I need to send the information needed in the body of an email, or do I have to download the questionnaire and fill it out and submit it? That is one question that we had about the COVID questionnaire. And the other was, can someone explain about close contact and staff? Do we list the staff who had close contact in both sections or just one? So we are going to go to Vicki Loveday, our director, to provide some more information. Vicki, are you there, and can you bring us through this?
Sure. Thank you, Kara. I appreciate that. I've asked Carly to pull up the form so we can touch on both of this at the same time. First, we prefer to get the response for the questionnaire on the downloadable template if at all possible. And that's simply for assisting us with data collection and processing of that information. However, if you're not able to download the template and you can copy and paste it into an email or something of that nature, we will accept it in that format as well. Okay. To review the form itself, the first section of the form, of course, is identifying the provider. And it's broken down so that this form can be used for both person-supported as well as staff. The first section that comes up is, of course, the positive person-supported. That first little section is all associated with only a positive person supported in our services. That second section are for persons supported that were exposed by a staff member or their housemates. So the next section is the positive staff. If this is just related to a person supported and there's no positive staff, then you would need to complete the section listing the staff that were exposed by the person supported. And likewise, if it's a positive staff, that's where you would also list the staff that were exposed by another staff member. In that question, I think that it was also asked if it's an office member or not a direct support staff. We do ask that you submit those for staff that are not direct support, any staff in the office, or would have contact with other staff members or person supported. And this form is used by clinical services so that they can start doing tracing and do notifications so that we can assist in preventing and reducing the spread of the COVID-19. I saw that Donna had a question also that associated with being able to call it into the hotline still. Yes, you can call it into the hotline. We are asking, though, that if at all possible that you use the questionnaire, because we really want the hotline with the increased number of COVID responses that we're getting, that we want to go back to ensuring that those allegations that are coming into the hotline associated with abuse or neglect are being addressed first and being prioritized. So that we can get to those quickly and do any kind of responses necessary. So if possible, we do ask that you submit it through the questionnaire, but if you do not have the ability to submit it through the questionnaire template, then we will go ahead and take those. We ask that you be patient and let us call you back to take those calls during business hours so that non-business hours can be focused on those other types of allegations.
A lot, Vicki. Okay, sorry, I was trying to look at whether or not there were any questions we could get to quickly while you were there about the form. but I do want to make sure we have ample time to talk about the vaccine. Well, questions were, if we don't have anyone supported in DIDD, are we also to report COVID information on this form? And positive staff to work in homes, apparently, okay, here it is in its entirety. At one point, Dr. Davis stated that the agency should contact DIDD should they get to the point of positive staff to work in homes where not all individuals are positive. Could that point be elaborated on a little bit more? So we'll get to that one later. Let's just get to the questions about the questionnaire in general. So the one about, does the form need to be used if there's nobody supported by DIDD? I'm assuming that means that they have folks who are in ECF. And since the new COVID form can be used for both members and staff, should we continue to submit a ref for members as well? Vicki, can you answer those two specific questions?
Sure. When we receive reports related to waivers other than the 1915C, for instance, choices or the ECF waivers, we share that information with TennCare so they can begin their process as well. So if you choose to submit that form to us, we will go ahead and do those processes. It's important when we have a member that has housemates that are supported in 1915 as well, or providers that are supporting members in multiple waivers. So it's really beneficial for us to get that information so that we can go ahead and start that tracing and assist TennCare as well. Now, can you repeat the second question, Kara, please?
I'm sorry, I missed which part you answered. The question, since new COVID form can be used for both members and staff, yes, should we submit a ref for members as well? And then the other one was, should this be used for people, if they don't support anyone in DIDD but support someone in ECF, should this form be used?
Okay, so I think I've answered the one regarding ECF, but yes, okay. The reportable event form is specific to persons supported. The questionnaire is for both positive staff and for positive persons supported. They have two totally separate functions. So the ref still has to be submitted because that goes into our database in a continuity of reports regarding a person supported. And that will still need to be continued, please.
Thank you, Vicki. And I apologize for a little bit of the zoo-ness at my house these days. My quarantine child is in remote school, and my dog has decided that he wants to eat everything right now. So it's a little bit of a zoo at my house. And thank you to those who privately messaged me about the fact that my dog took something off the table. So with that, we are going to move to the next part of our office hours, and that is about the vaccination. So because my house is a complete zoo, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Davis to get us started on this.
All right, thank you, Kara. Well, this is an exciting time. I was likening this period right now to maybe how the soldiers felt right before D-Day, because this is really not the end of the virus concerns, but it is maybe the beginning of the end, because if we can get people vaccinated and get people safe from this, then we can start resuming our normal lives, I hope. And so a couple things I want to make people aware of. One thing is that DIDD has worked with the Department of Health to get people with IDD and the paid staff members who work with them in waiver settings and in ICF settings the opportunity to get this vaccine at phase 1A1. It's likely that most of what is going to be provided to our population is the Moderna vaccine that's going to come along about December 22nd, somewhere around that time frame. And we expect that people can start getting that vaccine immediately after that by working with their local health department. We're going to give you some information on how to register for that in a short while. We know that some of the health departments have already reached out. We have decided to centralize that data collection, though, so that we can get those registrations and provide that information to those health departments directly. One of the things I really want to emphasize about the vaccine is the issue of choice. So everybody has a choice about whether they're going to take the vaccine. or not. I think you should check with your doctor, maybe get your doctor's advice about whether or not it's a good idea for you personally to take the vaccine. A couple things I want to make clear about it, though. First of all, I think a lot of people are concerned about being in this first phase of implementation, being in phase 1A1, and maybe thinking that, well, we don't know that much about what's going to happen with this. The thing I want to point out to you is that these vaccines have been tested on thousands of volunteers already. So it's not as if you'll be the first people that are taking it. So far, with the studies that have been done, there have been no serious side effects that people have experienced. And so that I think is quite comforting. The other part about it is that I think some people are concerned about the messenger RNA, that there is some kind of genetic altering that's done with RNA. That's not the case. The one great advantage of this messenger RNA vaccine is that you will not have the live virus introduced into your system. And so most vaccines use a live virus to do that. In this case, it's going to be a vaccine with messenger RNA. It sends a message to the cells in your body to build this spike protein that attaches itself to the outside of the cell. And basically, your body begins to react as if, because the spike protein is one that is in common with the coronavirus, your body begins to react in a way that addresses that spike protein and begins to build the antibodies that you need to be able to fight the coronavirus. This is really great technology. It's relatively new, but it is very safe. And so I just want to encourage people that they should be considering these potential side effects that may be common to any type of vaccine that you would get. But in this particular case, the side effects have been minimal. The serious side effects have not occurred. We, as I mentioned a moment ago, are centralizing the registration for this. We will be distributing a consent form that is specifically for this purpose. And so you should begin the process of getting those consents from conservators as soon as practically possible and begin registering people for this as soon as possible via the link that we will give you to do that. And I was going to just mention one other thing, Kara, about this, because I'm a student of history. I love World War II history. I brought up that about D-Day a little while ago, but also during the Revolutionary War at Valley Forge, they had a severe outbreak of smallpox. And it was only because they developed a vaccine, and this vaccine was delivered by not the method that we're used to. They didn't have syringes and needles to inject it with, but instead they cut the soldiers' arms, and then they had small samples of the virus, of the smallpox virus, and rubbed it into those wounds on the arm. And that was how they vaccinated people in the Revolutionary War during the winter at Valley Forge. So General George Washington was in charge of that vaccination. And when I think about being an American, being from this country, and realizing that perhaps we wouldn't be a country at all had we not had that vaccination to protect our soldiers during the Revolutionary War, it's a sobering thought. And I just think of this effort as one where we're now called upon. I mean, we are facing a very severe enemy at this point that can, overtake us if we allow it to. But if we can take charge of it, if we can make use of this vaccine that we're being given, then I think we can overcome it and we can get back to some semblance of normal. I'm really anxious to go to a baseball game next summer. I don't know about other people, but I certainly hope everyone will take advantage of this opportunity that has been created by the collaboration between Department of Health and DIDD. Tara?
Thank you very much, Dr. Davis. We'll get to some of the questions quickly, but Dr. Davis, you might want to stay on mute. I am going to actually share my web browser to show people that we now have on our COVID page. The first thing you'll see when you go to our COVID page now will be a vaccination information tab. Right now, we have the employer's notification letter, the employee notification letter. We are going to get that consent form on here also this morning as well, so that consent that we talked about. And then finally, anything that, as Dr. Davis mentioned, we will be we will be sending around a form stack questionnaire for folks, for both persons supported and for staff. It's one, it's just you designate which one. So to help with those vaccination collection issues, because Jared made very quick mention of it in chat, but it's also something we got several questions about the fact that various health departments are already reaching out and asking for information. Dr. Davis, do you want to add anything about that?
Can you repeat the question, Kara? I'm sorry, I got a little distracted there for a moment.
It's okay. It's the fact that we have the vaccination page, and we'll have that employer letter, the employee letter, the consent form. We will get that up, and then our own, and then we will be starting to circulate our own data collection because of the fact that health departments are already reaching out, and folks have been asking for guidance on what to do.
Yes, I think we recognized that it was coming in a little bit piecemeal with the request for information and via various methods. The method that we put together now is going to allow each person to be registered via form stack. And so then we can also collect information on any co-occurring conditions that may increase the person's sub-priority. So we'll want to get those people with co-occurring conditions in first, if we're able to, and also to be able to collect information about whether people are staff that are registering or whether it's the person supported, and what the county. It's really important to include the county information there as well. So all of those things will be set out via the procedure that we're going to put out a little bit later, but this, I think, will be a much better method of collecting that information. We're getting that out to the health department. So if you get any requests in the interim, just respond to them. That central office is going to be responding to them about that, and you can actually direct them to me if they have any questions. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Dr. Davis. And one thing I would ask everyone is obviously this information is very, very important. So as expeditiously as this information we understand that we're asking for information about a lot of people, a very high volume of people, but obviously as expeditiously as this can be completed, we would absolutely encourage all of your participation in making that happen for something that's so important. Okay, so I'm going to start on vaccine questions first. So Dr. Davis, don't go anywhere. And then we'll go to, we've already talked about the COVID questionnaire. We'll see whether we've got some time for anything else. The first is I know Dr. Davis is very busy, but would we be able to have a WebEx Q&A for families and one for employees regarding the COVID vaccine? I think the way he calmly explains things will put people at ease. I think that Dr. Davis, you can expound also, first of all, please do encourage everyone you know to attend that 9 o'clock on Thursday, December 17th with the Department of Health WebEx. And then I don't want to speak for Dr. Davis, but I think we are willing to do whatever it takes to help to answer questions to the best of our ability. Dr. Davis?
Yeah, I'll be happy to participate in any question and answer or informational session that we need to get together, and because I do want to make sure that people have all the information they need to make an informed decision about the vaccines, and so please, if you schedule an event, I will try to make arrangements to be there and to assist. We do have that really great event that the Council on Developmental Disabilities put together for next Friday or next Thursday at 9 a.m. And that is going to include Dr. Michelle Fiscus, who's been one of our primary partners with the Department of Health and who has really been the leader behind the vaccination effort. And so we're going to be able to give a lot of information there. And so if we can create any other forms, I want to make sure everybody gets reached with this information that we have about that. So feel free to reach out if you have other ideas or thoughts about how we could reach other people. Kara.
And then Lauren Piercy, I'm sure, is on here. So in chat, let me know if I'm saying this right, but it's my understanding that this will be recorded. So if folks are unable to attend at that time, I'm sure it will be made available for other people to be able to review. Next question, kind of discussed this already. So can we get more details on the provider agency's roles and expectations of gathering numbers of person-supported employees wishing to receive COVID-19 vaccine and getting access to the vaccine in our established priority group?
So I think it's going to work for you to use our registration system. We are going to push that information out to the health departments for you in that regard. So if you'll just use this registration system that we're putting out, I think that will satisfy whatever needs the local health departments will have. Kara.
Okay. The other question was, could someone with more knowledge of the vaccine possibly generate an informational video or easy to follow written information that we can share broadly to help encourage participation within the DIDD community to take the vaccine as it becomes available to us? From the communication standpoint, I can tell you that we are working closely with our counterparts at the Department of Health to make sure that anything that we do is aligned and with their with the messaging that they have, and is specific from our point. We will be helping with our population. So we are going to be doing everything we can to make sure that we're getting that information and working closely with our counterparts at the Department of Health on this.
Kara, I would also add that the Department of Health has a link on their website to frequently asked questions and to lots of information surrounding the vaccines. And so, we are going to pass along any information that they put out going forward that would help people be able to make a good decision about whether or not they're going to take the vaccine.
Great, thank you. Also, which priority phase for the vaccine are primary caregivers of a person with IDD who are family and not professionals? Do we have to wait for phase 4? This is the way we're answering this question is in regards to people who are not paid caregivers.
Yeah, what has been laid out is a provision for paid caregivers to receive the vaccine, not for unpaid caregivers. So those folks at this stage have been established at a later phase of vaccine implementation. Kara.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, we have got a ton of questions about the vaccine in chat. So couple I really want to get to are there 2 phases of giving the vaccine or just one? In an aligned question, somebody asked, the Pfizer vaccine requires 2 shots. What does Moderna require? So can you kind of go through what that looks like?
Yeah, so the Pfizer vaccine requires two shots, essentially 3 weeks apart. The Moderna vaccine requires 2 injections 4 weeks apart. And so you will need to get the first and second injection from the same provider, vaccine provider. So if you go to your local health department for the first, you must go to the local health department for the second. Carol.
Another question, will this include all waiver participants such as choices in ECF or just DIDD waiver participants?
So it includes the DIDD waivers, the ECF waivers, and ICF programs across the state. Carol.
Okay, thank you very much. I just wanted to make sure that we could hit those questions also. Okay, I'm trying to see if there are any other vaccine questions. Somebody asked about efficacy of the Moderna vaccine versus the Pfizer vaccine, and does that matter?
Well, yeah, certainly the efficacy matters. Both Pfizer and Moderna have pretty equivalent efficacy, according to the data that's been reported so far. I think one was 94.5 and the other was 95% effective, according to the data that was collected during the phase 3 trials on thousands of people, I want to say. Again, I'm really taking this opportunity to reemphasize the point that many people have already taken this vaccine and it's been found to be pretty effective. So, they were prepared to accept a vaccine that was only 50% effective, that would have still moved us forward if we'd been able to find a vaccine that was 50% effective. To have these that are 95%, around 95% effective is quite an accomplishment. So I think there's great reason to think that you'll be protected if you take these vaccines. Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Dr. Davis. I'm seeing a lot of questions about what to do if you miss the second vaccine, what to do about severe allergies. I would encourage all of you to attend those WebExes when the Department of Health is on there, because I think those questions are better posed to them. When it comes to side effects, they are the experts on all of this. And they're the ones who have been looking at, the data. So while I do see the questions and I want to acknowledge that they're there, I also want to acknowledge that there are experts that we're going to be making available in partnership with the Council on Developmental Disabilities to help answer those questions. And I think that would be the more appropriate place to be able to have those conversations. We really don't want to tell you anything wrong. Trying to look very quickly if there are any other quick COVID vaccination questions that I see. Most of them are about the reporting form. I feel like we've answered those. Okay, so because of the fact that we always do want to get back and answer some of the questions that people submitted first, and we actually have a little bit of time to do so, I am going to kind of hit some of those as well. With the recent authorization from the governor for the National Guard to assist hospitals and testing sites where they are running low on nurses and staff due to active cases, are there any plans or discussion on what could be done to assist providers that are facing the same issues? Even in use of technology, there has to be staff there to run and monitor. Our numbers continue to rise of staff being out due to exposure or being positive themselves without much relief in sight. Commissioner, would you like to discuss this?
Yeah, thanks, Kara. It's a good question. The short answer is no, there has not been any discussion or conversation around that. It's very tricky around National Guard being mobilized and some of the requirements from federal funding and dollars that are attached to that. But the short answer to that, Kara, is no, there have not been any discussions around that. We do want, obviously, to make sure that we're sensitive to the needs of the providers, so that's good information to be able to have. But as of right now, there are no plans relative to the National Guard being mobilized for provider support. Thanks, Kara.
You're welcome. Next question. At our facility, we are seeing if CPR classes were okay during COVID or do it virtually. I guess the question is basically people would like to know if they can provide in-person CPR classes during this time. Dr. Davis?
Kara, can I ask you to repeat that question again? I apologize.
People want to know whether or not they can provide in-person CPR classes during this time?
Yeah, so we haven't established any regulation over you on your ability to do CPR classes in person. I do recommend that you seek alternatives to that if the Red Cross is or your certifying agency is allowing you to do so. So I would check with them to see if they have allowed for alternatives to in-person training, and would suggest that you do those instead. It's a benefit risk analysis. If you do in-person training, I would just recommend that you take all the precautions that you can and ensure that you do as much distancing as possible, that you use proper cleaning procedures, and that you clean in between each person that might touch materials and other things of that nature, that you wear masks, that you obviously there are some portions of that you can't wear a mask for, but that you maximize the use of masks, that people are washing their hands frequently, and that all of the materials are being sanitized on a regular basis. These are really just important things if you're going to do any kind of in-person event. And then I would also suggest limiting the number of people who are involved in the training at any given point in time. Carol?
Thanks a lot, Dr. Davis. Stay there. Are we now allowed to continue telehealth through the home-based service date of March 12, 2021? That would be the Appendix K expiration date.
Yes. Simple answer to that one. Carol?
Yes. That's nice. Have you ever considered having a meeting with family model providers and DSPs to hear the untold stories of our journey taking care of people with special needs? Commissioner, would you like to answer that?
Kara, that broke up. I'm sorry. Say that last part again for me. I apologize.
Sure. Have you ever considered having a meeting with family model providers and DSPs to hear the untold stories of our journey taking care of people with special needs?
Perfect. Yeah, thank you. So I think most on here know that we already have active focus groups that allow conservators and person supported and families to come have this conversation. But certainly that's always something that we would be open to, is having those discussions, even a special, something like an office hours for DSPs, something that makes sure that they know that we're listening to what their concerns are and some of what their experiences are. So I think that's something certainly we could look into and see if there's something we could do that would be productive.
Thanks a lot, Commissioner. Okay, last question is to follow up on the answer regarding day residential services. In 2022, does it look like community residential services will be going to a day rate closer to ECF CLS with different levels being approved for different amounts of hours of direct staff support, or will it be billed in units and hours for any time direct staff support is provided? Jordan, you have been incredibly quiet, but we cannot let you off the hook today. So can you provide some insight?
Sure. Thanks, Kara. Good morning, everybody. First and foremost, what I would say is that the decisions around exactly how day services or potentially the combination of day and residential services are certainly going to be a topic of conversation and active development. I think the concept that we're floating at this point is the combining of day and service rates into smaller incremental units. The level of need or the level of acuity assigned to somebody relative to those support needs will obviously impact the rate that people receive. I do think that it makes a lot of sense to allow folks to bill for services that are aimed at achieving the outcomes they identify in their ISP at the times of day that work best for them, the days of the week that work best for them. One of the undercurrents of this whole single system development concept and really even blending into the value-based purchasing concept is that we're affording people the opportunity for their lives to be as flexible as mine is and yours are. And so in that respect, I would say the short answer is yes, that's certainly something we're proposing. I think the details and the final decisions relative to how those services end up being, one, identified and defined, and then two, broke up in billable increments, we're well away from reaching final decisions on those.
All right, thank you very much, Jordan. Okay, we are just about at time, so we're going to have to call this a day. Couple of things. Seen a lot about wanting to know about the WebEx information for the 1217. That will come from the Council on Developmental Disabilities. We will share it in open line, on social media, everywhere we can. Probably by the time we have this call next week, we can put it in the chat as well for folks to take a look at as well. So we want to make sure that everyone who is interested, it is very important to us that we get this information out there as widely as we can. We do think this is very important, and we want to be good partners with the Department of Health to getting the word out about the importance of this vaccine. So that information will be shared broadly. I know the council is on here right now, and I'm sure they are working very hard to get all of that done, and I'm sure they're very excited that there is a lot of interest in this. That is everything. Like I said, we'll start to communicate about that data collection on the vaccination and that form for people to submit that information very shortly. Also, a new one-pager questionnaire form, not the questionnaire form, but the one-pager about the reporting will be posted when it comes to COVID reporting. A lot of people like that little one-pager that helps people understand when they should report, when they shouldn't. We have just updated that. We will post that on the COVID page as well to get that taken care of. So a lot of information is happening very quickly. We are all working to make sure that we're doing the best job we can to get that information to you, and in a manner that is timely and accurate and as easily digestible as we can for everybody who is out there. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Commissioner Turner to see us out.
Yeah, thanks, Karen. Again, great questions today. We know that there's a lot on everybody's plate right now, and things are moving, pardon the pun, but at warp speed around this vaccine and the conversations related to that. So we certainly want to make sure that we keep everything in front of you. Again, I want to recognize Dr. Davis and his team for the wonderful work that they're doing to try to keep us updated and sharing information that they find as quickly as they gather it and as quickly as it's relayed to them. Just tip of the cap to those guys. And I know that everyone on the call from the provider side appreciates Dr. Davis and his team and what they're doing too. Thank you. I hope everybody has a great rest of your week. We will continue to keep you updated as things unfold for us, and keep things in front of you so you feel comfortable on the communication and what the next steps look like for the vaccine distribution and next steps for DIDD and our partners. Thanks, everyone.
All right, and I hope my dog, my husband, and my child provided a moment of levity for all of you all, and thanks for letting me know that there was a ruckus occurring behind me. So we'll talk to y'all next Wednesday, same time, no, different time, Wednesday, 9:30. We'll go back to our Wednesdays next week. See y'all later.